Hello and welcome everyone to River Rock Financial Group's presentation of Win the Money Game, Part 1, Tax-Free Accumulation. My name is Max Wiltz. The agency is River Rock Financial Group, LLC. We are licensed in Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas. The website is rrfgwealth.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Feel free to, after the presentation, go on and like, subscribe, and follow those pages. And I'm glad that everyone took the time out of their day to join me in a highly valuable, what I believe to be a highly valuable presentation of information that, to be honest with you, everybody needs to know. But before I get started, let me go ahead and cover myself and the agency. All examples are for illustrative purposes only, not representative of any particular investment or an offer of insurance coverage or benefits. Values shown are before tax. All withdrawals from a retirement plan are taxable as ordinary income. Please consult your tax expert or advisor. So let's go ahead and get started. This is called Win the Money Game. Now, I do have another presentation on money that will be a part of this series. This is a 3-part series that I'm so excited about because the mission of River Rock is to educate families, individuals, and businesses about 3 things: creating and sustaining generational wealth, strategic future financial planning, asset protection, and accumulation. So today we're talking about accumulation in particular, but I do want to just make sure that people understand the fundamental foundations of what River Rock Financial Group stands for. And having said that, a lot of people know or don't know. It's probably half and half. For centuries, I'm gonna paraphrase this. For centuries, individuals have utilized the power of insurance. Insurance is not something exciting. People don't like to talk about it. However, it's a very powerful tool and resource and channel that people have used to create wealth, generate wealth, and pass down wealth. Notice I didn't say anything about money, but this is called Win the Money Game. So we'll get more to that later. But building wealth over time is it's a marathon, it's a journey. It's something that it's not a quick fix. It's a long journey that people have to understand the mechanisms used to create wealth using insurance products. So we insure everything else. We insure cars, which by the way is a mandatory tax. Consult your tax expert. We insure boats, motorcycles, pictures, recreational vehicles. The list continues. You can see it on the screen. Jewelry, electronic devices. We even insure athletes' arms, legs, and all types of crazy stuff. Just ask the Lloyds in London. But a lot of times we don't insure what's most important. We don't take the time out to plan out strategically, long term, and quite frankly, because as human beings, we think we have forever, and we do not. All right, and then we consume things that have no value. We purchase things that really don't have value. They don't have a long-term value attached to them. They're usually depreciating liabilities, which we'll talk about that later too. Overpriced designer clothing, coffee. I'm guilty. I got some coffee right here. Overpriced, hyped up products. And when I'm saying this, I'm preaching to myself too. We go out to eat daily, weekly, restaurants, fast food, concerts, latest phones, gadgets, shoes, handbags, cruises. And then on top of that, we pay taxes on top of all the things that we purchase that have no value. And we continue to consume those things. And then for the most part, a lot of people tend to not understand that over time, this adds up. So hence the title of this presentation, Tax-Free Accumulation. So just like you're accumulating nothing, I'm sorry, like we're accumulating nothing by purchasing these things. If you do the same thing with insurance, you will actually accumulate not only cash value in some policy types, but you will also accumulate generational wealth. You will also accumulate long-term income streams. So why do most people not have life insurance? They think it's too expensive. They think of death. They think their employer is going to cover them forever. They have a question about bad health, and if they have good health, they say they don't need insurance. Lack of knowledge, lack of trust in family, carriers, and agents. So these are some of the most common reasons slash excuses as to why people do not have life insurance. People that say it's too expensive, it's actually too expensive not to have. You at least need to have a term policy because it's low cost. Many carriers have flexible plans and premium products. The benefits outweigh the cost by far, and annuities are a low risk, highly effective long term strategy. And every situation is different. So it's not that it's too expensive, it's that most people probably don't figure out the time to do the research and ask questions, which is one of the reasons why uh, people don't have it. Thoughts of death. Death is something we cannot avoid. Again, we think we have forever and we don't. Instead of thinking about death, let's think about family and legacy. Life insurance is about life. It's about moving life forward. Yeah, think about it. Unfortunately, when people pass, many times the family is stuck with not one but several bills, and they just don't know how to get around that. So not only are they dealing with the grieving process, they're also dealing with a financial situation they have to figure out. I'm not going to make light of it, but I am going to say some things like fish fries, asking other people for money. The list continues. Start a GoFundMe page, when all the while what they could have done is plan 10, 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years in advance for that particular situation. Not only that, they could have planned for that situation and to pass down some cash or some resources, funds, money to the family, all right, to the beneficiaries. Life insurance is about going forward, not backwards. The truth, life insurance takes care of families when the time comes. It's not anything other than that. It's a very simple thing that people have made complex. Being prepared is better than not being prepared. Taking pride in planning for the future situations and future generations is what should be thought about, not death. When somebody says, "Hey, do you have life insurance?" or you see a promotional ad or advertisement, you should be thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna die." You should think about, how's this going to benefit my family? How's this going to benefit my beneficiaries? Employer policies do not cover you when you leave that employer unless you are willing to pay the price to make up the additional premium. Most employers pay up front for life insurance on their employees. Now, key person insurance is a different type of insurance, but the bottom line is there are two things I want to say about employer policies. One, when your employer gives you a policy, a life insurance policy, it's very rigid in how it's structured. I think that's a bullet point here. It's very rigid, meaning that if you make $80,000 a year and your employer says, "Here's your life insurance. How do you want to do your life insurance? Oh, by the way, you only get the times two, so the policy is $160,000, and that's really it. There's no unless things have changed. That's pretty much all you get to do. You don't get to have living benefits. You don't get to attach a rider, an accident rider. You don't get to add any auxiliary benefits or features to that employer policy. And then when you leave, that policy goes away. It's just like you never had it. There's no cash value. There's a lot of things in employer policies. They're good if something happens to you, God forbid, in the workplace, but they're not good when you leave. You cannot control your values. I just said that. You can control, however, your own life insurance policy. You can control that. You can control everything about it. Okay. And a lot of policies are flexible, um, like universal life policies. Those policies allow for flexible premium and flexible face value. So just think about that when people say, or if you say it or have said, "Well, I have insurance with my job." Well, that's good, but it's not good at the same time. All right. Good health or bad health. Of course, good health means lower premiums. Challenged health is not a barrier to attaining life insurance. A lot of carriers today have several different types of life insurance products that they offer to people with a, a laundry list of health challenges. So trust me, it's not bad health does not exclude you from attaining life insurance. Annuities are great because they have no medical exam. So if you have a few challenges and you think I don't even want to apply for life insurance, it could just be something like high blood pressure. It could be several things. You just say, okay, but you have, good income, etc. All right, so let's do an annuity. All right, that gives you the benefit of tax-free accumulation and a stream of income, and based on how you structure it, you can leave something to your beneficiary. So not only are annuities good in the present, they're also good for the future. And carriers understand the range of health related issues in today's world, and they have adapted, their policies as well. Lack of knowledge. If you don't know, ask. Many people say, well, I don't know enough about life insurance or annuities or whatever. All you have to do is ask. Agents, brokers, and carriers have to answer your questions. If you get a life insurance policy and you have a question, you can call your agent, your broker, or the carrier. You can call the carrier directly. If you get insurance through River Rock and you were unable to talk to an agent from River Rock, then you could call the carrier directly. So we have 10 different carriers we work with. All of them are A-rated, and they are bound by law to explain anything you don't know. You can ask them any question you want, and they have to answer it. If they don't know the answer, they have to find somebody to get you the answer. But 99.9% of the time, when you call, let's say you call Transamerica or Illinois Mutual or any one of the 10 carriers that we currently contract with, they have to answer your questions. All right. Life insurance is a straightforward process. Application, contract, issuance of policy, and the rest continues. The rest is as I say, history. As long as premiums are paid. Okay. Okay. Now here's the big one: lack of trust in family, carriers, and agents. First of all, family is the most important thing. You should protect your family. Period. Point blank. It's not about I'm not going to let my family get rich off of me, or they're not going to benefit from when I'm dead, or all the different things people say about not getting life insurance. It's really selfish, to be honest with you. Selflessness equals success when you talk about life insurance. You have to be selfless. And if you're a selfish person, because you've said these things, then you need to rethink your mindset. Plan, don't procrastinate. Every day that goes by, is you're not going to get it back. So you should plan for yours and your family's future. And one of the best ways to do that is life insurance. I understand a lot of people invest in different things, stock market, mutual funds, etc. However, those things are also actually rooted in some aspects in life insurance. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today, part of it is rooted in the market, the stock market. The difference is life insurance is it's a less risky venture. You get a whole life policy. The illustration shows you how much your premium is a month or a quarter or a year. And then it also shows you what your accumulation is going to be. That's it. You get an annuity. Here's how much your annuity. Here's how much you said you're going to participate in the annuity. Here's what your interest rate is. Here's what's going to be your future income. Period. There's really no ambiguity. There's really no confusion when you're talking about life insurance. If you are confused, I go back to my last point. Ask questions. Hey, I don't what's going to be the accumulation, or what's my policy going to look like in 10 years? Here's an illustration. Go down to year 10, read across the line. Your agent can work with it on you. It's pretty. Life insurance companies have made it so that you can actually read your illustrations. You can actually read the final policy documents. There's no purposeful complexity. All right. Let me continue before I get too long-winded. Life insurance agents, brokers, and carriers consistently aspire to achieve high standards. There's always ongoing education. There's always ongoing transfers of information. Even though competitors exist, I have my competitors. The carriers compete with each other. The competition is to make us better. The service is designed to benefit those that understand the power of accumulation of life insurance. It's a highly regulated industry. There is constant oversight. Competition drives innovation and customer service amongst agencies, carriers, and agents. Even when I call a carrier, it sounds great. Now I know those people, everybody's not having a great day all the time, but every time I call, people are having a great day. So just have that in your mind. So don't don't have a lack of trust for your family because it's about them in the end, and you're part of your family. So plan. Carriers and agents are bound by law to help you. All right, so let's get to it. So winning the money game, tax-free accumulation. So I felt the need to create this presentation because some people have asked me, what does accumulation mean? So I'll say how much money your money is going to make, or I have to figure out a way to tell people what tax-free accumulation means. Okay. That basically means the money that you contribute to a life insurance policy, whether it doesn't matter what type of policy it is, unless it's term, but even though term does have some benefits, when you talk about tax-free accumulation, that means that the money you contribute is gaining interest. You see my equation right here. Your principal, your money that you are participating in the policy with is gaining interest. So it's making money for you. And I purposely did this equation like almost a simple car loan equation. I don't know, when you buy a car, I don't know how many people actually look at the documents. Most people don't because it's kind of confusing, right? And it's made to be like that. But anyway, to all my car people, don't take it personal. All right, so you didn't do it, the finance company did. All right, so here we go. Principal what is principal? So I'm going to break this down. Principal refers to the original sum of money that is invested, borrowed, or lent. It is the initial amount before any interest gains or losses are factored in. So I'm doing this in how you would buy a car, okay? And I'm going to show you what it looks like if you were the bank, if you were lending money. So here's the basic formula. Principal plus interest equals accumulation. I don't like rich people. Well, this is what they've been doing for like the last 2, 3, 4,000, 5,000 years. Okay? Principal contributions frequency are flexible. That means that in life insurance, the beauty is the flexibility of the principal contribution is the great thing. You can control how much principal you want to contribute. So that's principal. What is interest? Interest is the monetary charge. Sound familiar? For borrowing money, generally expressed as a percentage, such as you see this before, APR. You walk down, you try to borrow a car or something, APR, annual percentage rate. Now, there's a trick that they use called compound interest, but we're not going to get into that. All right. Interest may be earned by lenders for the use of their funds or paid by borrowers for the use of those funds. So here's the key. Interest may be earned by, it not maybe, it is earned by lenders for using their money, for using their funds, or paid by borrowers for the use of those funds. Okay. So let's look at part 2 of the equation. Interest. What is interest? This is interest. Interest is the money that people pay to borrow money. It's the money they charge you to use money. I can't wait to get my money presentation on because they may step on some toes. But anyway, now here's the beauty. You become the bank when you loan your money and gain interest with life insurance and or annuity contracts. You become the bank. You become the bank when you loan your money to the insurance company to gain interest, to pay you interest on your money. Again, it's a long term, it's a long game. This is what banks and other organizations and institutions have been doing to the masses for a long time, using interest. And a lot of times people don't understand the interest. The interest is money making money, for those of you that know that terminology. So we've covered principal, interest. Now we're talking about accumulation. What is accumulation? Growth or increase by continuous, repeated and consistent addition to a fund or a portfolio with the principal untouched. That means that the money that you lend, let's look at it from a consumer standpoint, since I touched on that earlier. You borrow money from a bank or a credit card company or whatever. They charge you money to borrow their money. And then the money that you're paying to borrow the money, they use to increase their money. Hopefully that doesn't sound confusing. So accumulation is basically the money that's gaining interest. That money goes to the bank. So they accumulate more assets while you borrow money. I'm guilty. Everybody, a lot of people are guilty on the planet, right? Right. We're not guilty, but we're in that class where we're using somebody else's money to make them more money. We're paying money to borrow money. All right. So let's look at our visual example. So here we are. So this is how banks use interest. Let me move my face over here. This is how banks use interest. Here you are. You're depositing your money in the bank. Here you are, your one bag of your check or whatever. You deposit your money in the bank. The bank takes that money, and then they make loans based on your money. And this is done at a rapid pace. It's not something that, because people are always borrowing money, right? So you as an individual, your money has made 10 different loans. It is the principle for them loaning money. So if you go back to our example, your deposit becomes the principal that's loaned out to other people. So you're doing this for the bank. What does the bank do? So here's your principal being loaned out. You and 100,000 other people for the bank, right? You and 10,000, 20, 30,000 people. And people wonder why it continues to be the way it is. But anyway, so the principal, your money that's in the bank, here's the principal, line of principal. Then those people are paying interest. Money is gained. So not only does the bank charge you interest on the principal or the people borrowing money on the principal, they also take that money and invest it in things so they can gain interest while you're also paying interest. So the bank is really getting interest from 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 other places. Banks trade overnight. They trade at night, over the weekend, around the world. It's swimming pools and oceans of money that they make. That money goes back in the bank. And here you are. And let's say you start a savings account with the same bank. You get $1. Okay. You get a small percentage of interest. Now, so that example is you giving your money to the bank. Your money becomes the principal, which they charge interest on, which goes back to the bank. And if you have a savings account, you get a small pittance of money. So all right, I don't want to make anybody mad. Okay, let's move on. So here you are as the bank. That's the part I want to get to. So how you can use interest in your benefit. So when you obtain a life insurance policy or an annuity, you become the bank because the insurance carrier is paying you guaranteed interest. Boom. You have now become the bank. Let that sink in for a second. You become the bank. Your money now moves you in front of the bank. So now you become the bank. Your money is now, you have premium. Your premium is the principal. Your premium is then gaining interest in accumulation, which goes back to you. Now, yes, of course, the insurance carrier is going to, just like when you were the bank, when you were giving your money to the bank, they're going to take a little bit of that interest. But here's the beauty. You don't owe anybody anything. They owe you. The insurance carrier owes you. You become the bank. You begin to accumulate interest on your money, which starts to compound over time. Interest rates do vary by carrier, but just recently I put up a post on Instagram about interest rates. And I'm going to continue to do that. So if you want to follow me on Instagram and look for my monthly insurance annuity rates, please do so. I will do that for several different carriers, right? Several different, and also several different annuity products. So just to reiterate my point, you become the bank when you give your money to the insurance carrier. They then invest that money, gain interest, and give you guaranteed interest on your money, and you start accumulating, and you become the bank. A word about savings. I'm not against savings. However, history has shown, if you would like to study it, you cannot outsave inflation. Savings, CDs and savings accounts, they're short term usually, and they're fluctuating. And they usually do not pay the type of interest that, like I just posted, 5%, 5.25% on a multi-year guaranteed annuity, which means 5.25% is guaranteed on your money for X amount of years, which means when the bank says we're going to pay you 2% or 1% interest, or one, they come up with crazy numbers, 1.75, 2.53, just stupid stuff. That does not, it can't compare or even compare to an annuity interest rate. It just doesn't, especially over the long term. You leave an annuity alone for 10 years, watch what happens. You leave your money in a CD with the bank and the bank usually goes, oh, great news, we're going to increase the interest rate on your savings account by 0.25%. Who wants to? Okay. When you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% interest in an annuity, it doesn't even make sense. Not saying, I mean, not saying anything bad about saving. What I'm saying is have savings and have an annuity. All right. CDs and savings are short term and they're fluctuating. Annuities and life insurance are long term, they're fixed, and they're combined with income features, product mixes, and asset protection and living benefits, which means annuities and life insurance accumulate interest for you, and they also have features that do a bunch of other things inside that one policy. Savings accounts don't do that. Banks say, hey, you need 2.25%. What is you gonna give me? Oh, that's it. Give us your $100,000. I'm gonna give you 2.25%. Give us your whatever whatever you contribute. All right, so here's some instruments of accumulation. Whole life insurance, known also as permanent life insurance, is straightforward. The accumulation / cash value is built into the policies. You can borrow from that policy and still, just like I just said, you can borrow from that policy and still have a face value benefit inside the whole life policy. A, you accumulate interest on your money. B, now whole life policies interest, a lot of times it isn't large, but you can access that as a loan back to yourself while also still having a face value or benefit for your beneficiaries when the time comes. Usually insurance carriers have attractive interest rates combined with enhanced benefits. I talked about it in an earlier presentation I did. Accelerated benefits allow you to access part of the face value along with accumulation of your monies, which means $500,000 policy, you have an accelerated benefit need, or insurance carrier says, okay, Mr. Jones, you can access up to $250,000 of the $500,000 policy. No savings account is going to do that. Nowhere. All right, annuities, great product with flexible monthly premiums, can be utilized as whole or term. I'm sorry, it can be utilized with the whole or term policy. Here's the beauty of annuity. You can attach an annuity to a whole life policy or term policy. Premiums are reasonable, especially in today's market. Carriers are fighting to drive down premiums. They're fighting each other. Literally, they're having a war trying to. I've gone and done illustrations, and I keep seeing the premiums be comparable or better. They don't want to lose business. That's another thing about insurance carriers. Unlike banks, what they do is they say, okay, if carrier A, B, C, and D, if a 45-year-old male wants $500,000 in life insurance, and A, B, C, and D's average premium is $125, I want to do 110. Like it's a great place to be in when you talk about using this for accumulation. Annuities create future streams of income and they're low risk. They have a floor. You can't lose your money. Now, I'm not knocking stocks, bonds, Forex, whatever, but I guarantee you, when you put your money in a stock or bond, you can lose everything. With annuity contracts and whole life contracts, you can't, they have a floor. So what that means is once, based on the policy, if you have an indexed, let me get a little bit more technical. If you have an indexed annuity, which bases its accumulation, which we already talked about, on future interest rates of a market, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, same thing the stocks and bonds use. They say, okay, we're going to put a floor, a cap on. So you invested $50,000, you're not going to lose your $50,000 guaranteed. Here's your guaranteed interest rate. Anything above that is icing on the cake. Can't do that with savings, or you can't do that with stocks and bonds. They're not. Matter of fact, when you get a stock or a bond, they tell you can lose all your money. They tell you you lose all your money up front. All right, here's an example. Let me continue. Here's an example of a basic, flexible, preferred, deferred annuity. $100 a month, 3% guaranteed interest, 10 years, you see what's going to happen. She's at 13.9, guaranteed 3%. Anything above that is icing on the cake. So what I just showed you, I'm sorry, moving on. A single premium annuity, which is beautiful, because if you want to place a one-time lump sum premium payment and leave it alone, this is, if you have a 401k or some other type of investment fund and you've saved up 100,000, 200, 500, $1 million, you can then say, okay, I want to guarantee a stream of income. 401k is cool, and the Roth IRAs and all this stuff is cool, but I want to make sure I have a guaranteed income for the rest of my life. Check this out. You can use a partial or total rollover from that investment, and it's a supplemental income stream. And here's an example. So this person put a $100,000 single premium into an annuity, which guarantees them for 10 years. For 10 years, is guaranteed $884 a month. And the guaranteed basic interest rate on that money is 1.2%. You say, all right, Max, 1.2% is not a lot. I beg to differ, because that's a guaranteed minimum amount of interest. Okay. Now, interest rates change. So basically, like I put up on my Instagram, interest rates change every month. And annuity, the companies, the carriers will put out, okay, here's an interest rate for this month. Okay. This also has check this out. Here's the beauty of this. This is great. The additional annuity payment will be made for the proposed annuity's lifetime based on the payment option, payment mode, and period certain. Payments due during the period are guaranteed payments. If the proposed annuity dies before the last guaranteed payment, remaining guaranteed payments will be made to the beneficiary until the last guaranteed payment has been made. So something happens to you as the annuitant, it's going to send it straight to your beneficiaries. Excellent products. A multi-year guarantee annuity. I like this one too. So this gives you a guaranteed interest rate, usually high, for a specified period of time. 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. Now let me stop right here. When you get an annuity, leave it alone. Don't touch it. Let it do its thing. Let it work. This is not a stock or bond where you got to keep watching it. You don't have to keep. You have to go to your computer every time. Now, I'm not saying don't get stocks or bonds, but you don't have to keep going back, checking it. And you can check on it, but it's not a daily thing that stresses you out. This is one thing, you said it, leave it alone. As a matter of fact, let me or your agent check it out, not you. We're not going to do anything until we just look and tell, okay? Here's an example of a multi-year guaranteed deferred annuity. What that means is, I did a presentation on this. You can go to YouTube and check it out. $50,000 one-time premium, guaranteed interest of 5.45% for 10 years. The minimum, remember I said you can't lose your money? The minimum after 10 years, the minimum guaranteed interest is 3.3%. 3% flat. The minimum guarantee for after the 10 years is up, they guarantee you 3% on your money. What bank is doing that with a savings account? None. I know I'm going to run across some bankers that's going to see my YouTube, and then we can have a discussion. We can have vigorous debate. But anyway, so you see here for 10 years, this person is guaranteed 5.5% on their money, irregardless. Look what happens, $50,000 in 10 years, 85 grand. Leave it alone. The minimum after, look at this, the minimum cash surrender value, 85,000. Don't take any withdrawals, leave it alone. All right, here's another beautiful one, the universal life insurance policy. This particular accumulation instrument has adjustable premiums, adjustable death benefits. That means that you can adjust your premiums up and down. You can say, okay, I can do $50 a month this month. I know I started out doing $200 a month, but now I got to do $125, whatever. Just call the company or you just send it in. It has an adjustable death benefit feature, guaranteed interest rates. The cash value is built in. It has flexibility. On top of that, the universal life policies is kind of like a whole life policy with a built-in annuity. It also has living benefits. And then what a lot of the popular thing now, the hip and cool thing, is the indexed universal life policy, or the IUL. Here's the thing about the IUL. Just like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, etc., it does link itself or link different parts of itself to the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, etc. Here's the beautiful thing about what people like about an index universal life policy. If the indexes perform well, you participate. So you get a guaranteed interest rate plus what the NASDAQ does, or plus what the S&P 500 does. So if it's 10% that whatever period, you get 10% appreciation on you're accumulating assets. The index universal life policy can be used, and all policies can be used, except for term, for to send your children to school, to buy them a car when they graduate. The list goes on, by going on vacation. These are things that you plan out. So the IUL, if the index performs well, the cash value increases. If it performs poorly, then it will stop itself. It won't go below interest that's guaranteed to you by the carrier. So unlike the whole life policy or the universal life policy, this thing is attached to the markets. I want to make that clear. If the market's doing well, your accumulation just keeps becoming larger. All right, so I don't want to belabor the subject, accumulation. How will you protect your family now and in the future? What is your duty to your family? Do you know what's going to happen 10, 15, 20, or 30 years from now? No, nobody does. We can try to predict the future, but we can't. Can you afford to not act now and place you and your family in a better financial position for the future? How will you outpace inflation in the coming years? How will you plan for your retirement? Do you believe in delayed gratification? What will you do? What will your family do when? ... So as a purpose of me putting ... The reason is things are going to happen. You have to be prepared as much as you possibly can, and life insurance can do those things financially. So what are the next steps? If you're ready now, contact me for a one-on-one illustration. I can give you a free illustration and quote today. If you want to set up a meeting, just click the QR code here. It'll go directly to me, and you can set up a 30-minute consultation, which I can cover any questions that you may have. Once again, thank you. This has been Max Wiltz from River Rock Financial Group at rrfgwealth.com. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at River Rock Financial Group. And until next time, do what's difficult while it is easy.